Welcome to the Future Money Masterclass, and this is episode 8. And today's topic is private markets and alternative assets, the silent giants of future wealth. Friends, this is the story of a powerful economic shift that is happening quietly away from the stock tickers and daily market noise. Friends, the public markets have always captured headlines. Stock exchanges, IPOs, and quarterly earnings dominate mainstream financial conversations, and we are witnessing it almost all the time regularly. But beneath the surface, private markets and alternative assets are rapidly outpacing traditional public markets in both scale and influence. A silent but monumental shift is underway. Friends, global capital is moving towards private equity, venture capital, private credit, infrastructure, real estate, hedge funds, collectibles, and other alternative classes. These are not just niche investments anymore. They are becoming central pillars of wealth creation for institutions, sovereign funds, family offices, and increasingly sophisticated individual investors. Friends, private markets offer something that public markets often cannot. Long-term strategic plays, less volatility, earlier entry, and higher potential returns. This is why some of the world's largest fortunes are being built far from the stock exchange. So now let us break this down and let us try to understand this in a much better way. In the last 2 decades, global private market assets under management have grown from a few $1 trillion to well over $10 trillion. Friends, private equity funds are acquiring companies, transforming operations, and creating value behind closed doors. Venture capital is backing innovative startups years before they ever list publicly. Private credit is financing businesses that banks overlook, providing new yield opportunities for investors. Infrastructure funds are building the backbone of future economies, from energy grids to digital highways. Friends, real estate funds are tapping into logistics hubs, commercial complexes, and urban transformation projects. And this is happening at a very rapid pace. Hedge funds and alternative managers are using complex strategies to generate returns uncorrelated with public markets. Meanwhile, public markets are shrinking. Fewer companies are going public. Those that do are doing so much later in their growth journeys. The number of listed companies in major global markets has declined significantly compared to the early 2000s. Much of the value creation now happens much before the IPO. And those who invest early in private markets capture a much larger share of the upside, which was not happening in the past. For Indian investors, this shift is especially significant. India's startup ecosystem, private equity landscape, and real asset opportunities are expanding rapidly. The country is witnessing record venture capital inflows, private equity buyouts, infrastructure fund launches, and the growth of family offices participating in private deals. Friends, alternative asset platforms are making it easier for accredited investors to access private credit, pre-IPO equity, and fractional real estate. This is opening doors that were once reserved for institutions. Friends, private markets also offer strategic advantages. They allow investors to take longer-term bets without the pressure of daily price movements. They enable active value creation through governance, operations, and innovation. Friends, they allow diversification beyond public equities and bonds, and they often provide higher returns, though they come with different risk and liquidity profiles. Friends, alternative assets are also expanding beyond finance into culture, sustainability, and technology. Art, vintage cars, music rights, sports teams, carbon credits, intellectual property, and digital assets are becoming legitimate asset classes. Tokenization and blockchain are making these assets more accessible and tradable. Friends, institutional investors are leading the way. Pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, and endowments are allocating increasing portions of their portfolios to private markets. Yale's endowment model, for example, famously shifted away from public equities and toward alternatives decades ago, setting a trend that reshaped institutional investing globally. India is entering this space with great momentum. Large funds are backing infrastructure, renewable energy, logistics, and digital economy plays. Venture capital is catalyzing innovation in fintech, AI, climate tech, health tech, and consumer internet. Friends, private credit is filling financial gaps for high-growth mid-market companies. Family offices are evolving from passive capital allocators to active strategic investors. Now, this transformation requires strategic understanding, not just capital. Before we go deeper into the next episode, let us acknowledge our partners who make this journey possible. My first sponsor is Santé Spa Cuisine, which fuels clear thinking through mindful nutrition, reminding us that strong portfolios begin with strong foundations. My second sponsor is Bod Active Gymwear, which empowers future builders with flexibility and strength, mirroring the resilience needed to thrive in alternative markets. My third sponsor is Turning Red Media Studios, which transforms emerging investment narratives into monetizable global content, amplifying the voices behind the deals. And my fourth sponsor is SDG6 Technologies, which provides sustainability through advanced water storage solutions, proving that every financial future needs environmental stability. Friends, private markets operate differently from public markets. They are less liquid, often require longer investment horizons, and demand deeper due diligence. But they also offer control, customization, and asymmetric upside. Investors can engage directly with founders, management teams, and assets. They can shape outcomes, not just observe them. And because private markets are less crowded and less regulated than public ones, information advantages and strategic positionings matter more. Friends, this is where strategic growth investors play a very critical role. Friends, I invest capital, technology, experience, influence, and ecosystems into private ventures and alternative assets. I collaborate with founders, funds, and family offices to structure intelligent investments that align vision, execution, and value creation. I do not simply buy assets. I help to architect entire ecosystems where value compounds strategically over a period of time. For Indian investors, the opportunity is extraordinary. The private markets wave is only beginning. As regulatory frameworks mature and investor sophistication grows, more capital will flow into alternatives. Platforms will democratize across further and also multiply the access. And those who position themselves early will capture value that public markets can no longer provide. So now let us summarize 4 key takeaways from today's episode. First and foremost, private markets and alternative assets are growing faster than public markets and capturing a larger share of global wealth creation. Secondly, early participation in private equity, venture capital, private credit, infrastructure, and alternative assets can unlock superior strategic returns. Thirdly, India's ecosystem is rapidly maturing, offering unprecedented opportunities for both institutional and individual investors. Fourthly, strategic investment and investing, not passive allocation, is key to navigating private markets intelligently. Friends, private markets are the silent giants of future wealth. They operate away from the noise but drive some of the most powerful economic engines of our time. Friends, I request you to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel for more insights on future wealth strategies, strategic investing, and emerging financial trends. And remember, the Future Money Conference is happening in Mumbai at Hotel St. Regis on the 22nd of December 2025. Global investors, fund managers, policymakers, and entrepreneurs will gather to explore private markets, alternative assets, and future capital flows. Tell us in the comments below which aspect of private markets you want us to explore further in the future episodes. Friends, your insights will help me to shape the conversations better and shape it in a way that will shape the future in a very different way. Friends, this is the Future Money Masterclass, and thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.